Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. I am your host, Ashton Forbes. Thank you guys for being here so much. I appreciate it. Whether or not you're on YouTube or Rumble, or unfortunately not on Pilled because it's not working, there's not much I can do. I'll get that working next time, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, if you came for complicated physics explained in a way that a normal person can understand, well, then guess what? You are in the right place. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Now, before we do that, a couple quick updates is that you can still get 4 Orbs merch if you want. There should be a link in the description. Guys, I wear my 4 Orbs merch everywhere. Just saying. It's dope. I love it, especially my hoodie. Also, a couple quick updates as well. Housekeeping things while people are trickling in. Got a lot of submissions for video editor. A lot of amazing submissions. Submissions are still open. So if you want to apply to be a video editor, somebody that's in tune in the community that understands the content that we're trying to put out, go ahead and submit. I appreciate it. Salvatore Pais. I guess we're doing the interview live. I wasn't sure. Sounds like we're going to do it live. Going to be, oh boy, I'm going to get the time wrong, aren't I? 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. That conversation, I am going to press him. I've been thinking about ways to press him still, where we can kind of push the boundaries of what he might be allowed to say. So don't miss out on Salvatore Pais, Hard Truths, Part 3 with Ashton Forbes and Sal. Should be great. Last thing is I had kind of something relatively unexpected happen, and I was able to get a personal demonstration of the NG8 NG Cell, I think is what the brand name of it is. I could be wrong on that. And I do want to make sure I'm not overselling this. I feel like people may be taking too far, but maybe not. I don't know. Did get a personal demonstration of the device, the same one that we saw in some of the videos that we've done, and did have metrics on it. So they do have sensors, and they are doing metrics. For example, on how much heat energy is going in versus out, and that is explained as well. And spoiler alert, it does show coefficient of performance greater than 1. So should be interesting. And then there's definitely some controversial physics discussion after, and then a few questions. So I didn't want to go, too hard on them or anything like that. But I do want to say, the thing I want to make sure that I probably say multiple times is that I am technically not, I'm not paid to endorse them or anything like that. And I'm skeptical, but at the same time, optimistic is what I would say. Skeptical, but optimistic. I think that's the right approach to go about it. So, just keep that in mind. Now, tonight's topic, guys. Tonight's topic is, there's a reason why I pushed back some other topics that I was ready to discuss, including matter waves, which is why if you were on YouTube, you might have seen the wrong thumbnail. I was ready to talk about matter waves, and it was going to be a deep science discussion. And the more I dug into last night, this video I saw by Anton, he's a physicist on YouTube, where he discusses this new scientific paper that claims they can harvest energy from the Earth. The more I dug into it and the more I looked at it, and especially because it was on April 1st, I really wanted to like, is this a joke or is this real? The more I looked into it, the more I realized it's not only is it real, but we've got to do a live stream on it immediately. So I've been thinking about how to present the context to you guys in the way that you'll enjoy the most. Here we go. I hope you enjoy it. I want to start by kind of putting you in the shoes of myself, going through what we're about to discover. So whether or not you are somebody who's been with us for a while, or if you are new, you will hopefully come to the same revelations as we go through this. Right off the bat, I want to start with Anton's video. We're, of course, not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to watch a little segment of it. And also, thank you very much, War Ranch LLC. We love 4 Orbs. We love you guys, too. We love you, too. Yeah, Anton is kind of a sleepy voice guy, but really smart. Really smart. You know, what I'll say about this as well is that I'll probably never be as smart as some of these guys when it comes to physics. But I have an ability where I can kind of understand what they're talking about. And I'm going to use that ability for good. Here we go.
And here the idea is really based on the differences between the magnetic field and the rotation of the planet. And that's because the spin of the planet is technically a little bit misaligned compared to the magnetic field. So basically here, our planet has 2 distinct axes. And the Earth's magnetic axis has an inclination of about 11.5 degrees to the axis of rotation, which basically means that the magnetic poles and the rotational poles are not exactly in the same place. And as we know today, magnetic poles are also not really stable and tend to drift over time. For example, here's how the North Magnetic Pole changed in the last 5 centuries. And so because of these minute differences, in certain locations on the planet, it should be possible to basically feel the passage through the magnetic field as the Earth spins around its rotational axis. And for a very long time.
Okay. So what is this basic idea is very interesting, is that it should be possible that we can feel this magnetic anomaly that might be happening, or just feel the magnetic field as the Earth is spinning because it's not in perfect alignment with this rotation of the Earth. Now, this actually kind of goes back to, this connects a little bit to the magnetic pole flip as well, which is that the true north is different than our geographical north. So if there is something out of alignment there, then what these guys are saying, what their theory and concept is that we can actually tap into that, and we can use that broken symmetry there and produce energy off of that. Okay. This sounds a lot like what Nikola Tesla was looking into. In terms of when he was trying to do his Wardenclyffe Tower, generating energy from the Earth. You know, you could, maybe we're going to find out there's a connection in 0-point energy here. Maybe we're going to find out this is just literally just tapping the energy of the Earth itself. And the reason why this seems very likely is that the Earth is a battery. The Earth is a giant conductor. Now imagine this conductor, this Earth that we're on. There's very little juice in the battery. Very little juice. But what we've realized here is that there's not zero. It's not zero. What we've realized, another analogy would be, we noticed the Earth is a swing. And it turns out, if we were to measure the energy or the magnetic field as it's aligned with the Earth as it's spinning, oh, looks like there's a little bit of a wobble. There's a little bit of wobble we can exploit. We can exploit that little bit of wobble. And here's the name of the scientific paper that was published 19th of March, 2025. Experimental demonstration of electrical power generation from Earth's rotation through its own magnetic field. Just in case anybody thinks I'm overstating the claims here, I am not overstating or exaggerating the claims in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is that these people have figured out that they can take a device, possibly something extremely simple, and align it against the Earth's magnetic field in the appropriate way, and it will produce electricity, current, voltage. Wow. That is straight up free energy. That's free energy. And now, what hopefully all the people that have been watching me have realized is that the term free energy is more complex than what the normies think. The normies think free energy is just popping out of nowhere, which in some respect, it's true. But no, free energy just refers to a situation where we have a coefficient of performance greater than 1. It doesn't need to be infinite efficiency. Just needs to get to an efficient point where we have access to unlimited at that point. And if we get to a situation where we can tap into the Earth's rotational energy and use that energy, we can use the fact that the Earth is rotating as energy. Seems like the ultimate power source. The last thing I'll say on this before we move on is that the beauty of this is, what did I say about action? A lot of people gave me a lot of positive comments about what I said about action. Is that what is energy? Energy is defined as the ability to do work. Well, what is doing work? Doing work is just pushing something. Doing work is movement. So this is really interesting, because what we're doing here is we're taking work, the Earth rotating, movement, angular movement, and we're turning that into energy. Turning that directly into electricity, potentially. And by turning into electricity, I mean the way that we're doing that is they're basically turning a conductor, they're turning something that's conductive into a conductor, a battery, something that has charge in it that can power something. Interesting, huh? Okay. Whoa. Sorry, guys. That scared the hell out of me. Okay, so next. Okay. The other thing that we want to keep in mind is that from electrical engineering, what we've learned is that a magnetic field passing through a conductor can produce voltage. Can produce voltage. And we saw this when we looked at like parametric oscillations. Parametric oscillations in an electrical system. When we looked at the magnetic field being created and collapsing and its impact on the circuit under different levels of resistance. And we saw either an exponential growth in current or we saw a decline. The other thing I want to point out is that there is a similarity between a lot of this physics that you see in some of these experiments that are happening that are related to things like the Casimir cavities. You see cavities used. Was cavities just empty space? Cavities used in a lot of these. And the reason why a cavity would be used, this is going to get a little bit scientific, but imagine my iPods here are an atom. Yeah, we've got this atom and we've got my little electron. Now, it's not really a particle, but just imagine as a particle spinning around this thing, right? And what I want to do is I wanted to have my electron scrunch in a little bit. I want everybody to squeeze in. I want to squeeze in so we can squeeze these guys in tight. I want to change the orbital of my electron. Pull the energy out. You say, Ashton, why do you want to pull the energy out of the electron? Because I'm going to pull the energy out, and then I'm going to send this guy over here to the cavity, to the empty space. And what's going to happen when this atom with this electron really close to it, what's going to happen when it goes over to the empty space? It's going to absorb energy from the 0-point energy field, and it's going to go back to its normal state. It's going to relax back to its normal state. Wow. That's the secret of all of this. So when I saw a similar concept to this in this experiment, I said, okay, I need to read all the stuff about this. So let's get started right here. We're going to start with the normie. Wait, is this the normie one? Which one's the normie one? This is the normie one. Start with just like the news article about it. Okay, this looks good. Attempt to harness energy from Earth's rotation. It seems crazy, says Chris Chaiba. This is one of the authors of Princeton University, talking about how the hollow magnetic cylinder he has built to generate electricity using the Earth's magnetic field. The cylinder does not move, at least not in the lab, but it rotates with the planet and is thus dragged through the Earth's magnetic field. It has a whiff of perpetual motion machine. Chaiba says, but his calculations show that the harvested energy comes from the planet's rotational energy. And he and his colleagues now report that 18 microvolts are generated across the cylinder when it is held perpendicular to the Earth's field. Next, they have to convince other scientists. Now, actually, you know what? It's probably good to keep reading. This is only a couple paragraphs. I want people to see it from the perspective of how it's being reported. This is actually pretty accurate reporting. And probably because it's mostly just direct quotes from the guy. At first glance, it seems impossible. One can calculate the magnetic force. The electrons in the metal object located in the Princeton lab, for example, are moving at 350 meters per second through the local magnetic field. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. But those electrons will quickly rearrange on the surface of the metal as to create an electric field that cancels the magnetic force. So what they're saying there is that what should happen is that even if this were the case, the conductor that you're using is going to equalize very quickly. It's going to equalize very quickly. So what they're saying there is that even if you take your atom and you've got you're manipulating the orbital, whatever, it's going to go back quickly. So we don't have a lot of time to capture that energy. Okay. That's important. And this, what I want to point out here too, is that this is also super important about just engineering challenges in general. Just because something is physically possible doesn't mean we're just going to immediately have this engineering solution. There's going to be engineering challenges. So then he says, Chaiba realized, however, that there could be situations where the electrons can't arrange themselves in a magnetic force canceling pattern. One non-canceling situation is a hollow cylinder made of magnesium zinc ferride. This material is both a magnetic shield and a weak conductor, two essential properties for allowing a small voltage to build up on the cylinder when positioned properly in Earth's magnetic field. At least that was the idea when they proposed it in 2016. So these guys have been already proposing this idea since 2016, 9 years. And only just now were they able to build an experiment that rules out all the things that, you know, people are going to say that the explanations could be. And spoiler alert, when we get to it, the evidence is really compelling that this is legit. So a bunch of people criticized it. Of course they do. And then they kept moving forward with it. But basically their experiment showed their predictions were exactly correct. The experiment showed that this particular metal alloy that they created produces the effect that they predicted through this effect of the Earth spinning through the magnetic field. And although the voltage is weak, this is just an experiment that proves the concept. This is proof of concept. This is not meant to be, this is how we're going to have infinite energy. It's just, this again is proof of concept. The same way where the Casimir effect is proof of concept of 0-point energy. Just because two plates come together doesn't mean two plates is the answer to infinite energy. It's the conceptual answer, but it's not the engineering answer to it. So they say that, yes, some people are going to say that there's this Seebeck effect, that this temperature could cause it. They've ruled that out because when we go to the paper, I'm probably not going to go through this part, but in the paper, they basically made the temperature a non-factor by, I don't know, like graphing against it. So you can see that no matter what temperature you choose, you're going to be able to see that there's still an effect at play. It's pretty smart, actually, of them. And then essentially he says the next thing is that they're challenging mainstream physicists to look at it, academics to look at it. So here's my message. Sabine Hassenfelder, soon to be the warrior battle queen of 0-point energy. It has been ordained by the physics gods. You need to review this paper. Bring your harshest German accent and worst dad jokes, mom jokes, whatever, German jokes, European jokes that you've got at this paper. It's rare that I read a scientific paper that not only makes some sense to me, number one, but number two, I say that the actual experimental evidence is very simplistic and extremely compelling. And the beauty of this scientific paper we're going to take a look at is that I think anybody could recreate this. This is almost like LK99 again. It's actually probably easier than LK99. You just need to make a tube, guys. Literally a cylinder. A cylinder is a tube. Just make a hollow tube using the right materials that they've said and align it with the Earth's magnetic field, and you can reproduce this. Shit, I might reproduce this. Seems really, really easy. Now, there may be some limitations where you have to be in a certain part of the world. I'm not really sure. But that's why this is so exciting. And it's also really exciting because, as I said before, these guys predicted this in 2016. And these aren't random quacks off the street either. This guy's a Princeton University professor. So he predicted this result. And then finally they were able to produce it. And it works. And we're going to look here in a second at the graphs and the charts and the results, etc. So, yeah, wow, let's go. If you're a science nerd, like, this is big. And we're going to get to what some of the whammies are. But before we do that, thank you, Mark Scott. You've been a huge supporter. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. It's science time. Tiffany Timbrick, thank you very much for that $5 donation. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Okay. Where's my next thing here? So the next thing is the old scientific paper. So first thing I found, I said, okay, show me the old scientific paper. So let's put ourselves in the context of these scientists. So they had this idea and they were like, the Earth's magnetic pole is not aligned with the planet, with the spin of the planet. Like, is there a way to exploit that with physics? And they found out, yes, at expense of the Earth's rotational energy. And they're like, okay, this is crazy, but this seems like it could theoretically check out. So they wrote this scientific paper here in 2016, and we're just going to read the abstract on this one. We examine electrical power generation from Earth's rotation as through its own non-rotating magnetic field. There's a simple general proof that this is impossible. However, we identify a loophole in that proof and show that voltage can be continuously generated in a low magnetic Reynolds number conductor, which is the right material, rotating with the Earth, provided magnetically permeable material is used to ensure this equation right here, which this equation basically ensures that voltage is going to be produced. So as long as you use the right material within the conductor, you will get a voltage. Where B usually is the magnetic field, derives from the axial symmetric component of Earth's magnetic flux density. And so what they're trying to figure out here is, what they're basically getting at here is, how do you align it against, like, the Earth, for example. Do I have a sphere? I need more props, chat. I need an Earth. Okay, imagine this is the Earth. The magnetic lines are going to go like this, right? So you need to make sure that wherever you're holding this thing, you're holding it perpendicular to the magnetic field of the Earth. I think that's right. Let's keep reading. I want to make sure I'm not saying this wrong. We solve the relevant equations for one laboratory realization. And from this solution, we predict the voltage magnitude and sign dependence on system dimensions and orientation relative to Earth's rotation. The effect, which would be available nearly globally, requires testing and further examination. So what they're saying too is that it's gonna matter how, not just like, you don't just want it aligned on the magnetic field. It actually matters which way it's rotated as well. So not only does it need to be aligned in the right spot, but it also needs to be rotated and aligned that way as well. Orthogonal, yeah. And I actually brought something to demonstrate. So if people don't understand the concept of orthogonal, think of Minecraft. Apparently Minecraft teaches everything these days, chat. So think of a block in Minecraft. Now, this is not square, but you get the idea. Orthogonal is this, is the square edges. But in three-dimensional space, this is just 2 dimensions, right? Three-dimensional space, we have this edge too. So orthogonal is this. This is the right-hand rule in electrical engineering. Why? Because this is why, right? Now you see how my hand lines up? Oops, shit, wow. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, you get the idea, okay? So we're dealing with orthogonal space because we need a way to understand a block of our three-dimensional space, okay? So when we are interacting with the Earth's magnetic field, we want to create an orthogonal situation where we're perpendicular to the Earth's magnetic field and to, I think it's the rotation of axis, the axis of rotation. I think that's it, right? Okay. Yeah, orthogonal is just perpendicular. There you go. See, easy to understand, everybody. They use orthogonal in, yes, XYZ space. So I simplified it for everybody out there. Now you're all geniuses. Okay, so they had this old scientific paper. Old scientific paper said we should be able to make this happen. New scientific paper. Make this bigger. Okay, so this one basically says they basically thought this should be impossible, and then they found out it can actually be possible, basically reiterating what they already said. And they say, here we realize these requirements with a cylindrical shell of magnesium, zinc, ferrite. Iron is ferrite. Controlling for thermoelectric and other potentially confounding effects. We show that this small demonstration system generates a continuous DC voltage and current of the predicted but low magnitude. Wow. What a statement. So they say, remember that old scientific paper? Turns out we were right. Turns out that if you use the right cylindrical shell of magnesium, zinc, ferrite, and control for these thermal effects, the whatever it was called effect, we are seeing voltage and current being produced. So what would this actually mean in the real world? It would mean that let's say I have this cylinder here. This is a cylinder, imagine now. Then this cylinder is that magnesium, zinc, ferrite. I mean, I could just have this, and as long as I have this aligned correctly, this thing's just continuously producing energy. Continuously producing energy. Because we've created an asymmetry from its alignment, from its atomic structure of its electrons, where the magnetic field, as it's passing through, actually it's passing through, every time it's passing through the magnetic field, it's realigning these electrons in a way that creates asymmetry within this conductor, turning it into a battery. For that's just the normie. It's a capacitor for the electrical engineering people, but it's just a conductor at that point, or a battery for normie people. Yes, this might be an AirPod Pro if you are let's say, if you have a weak mind and you don't have any imagination, quantum gravity, then yes, this is an iPod Pro. And it's not really charging that well either, we're going to throw it out there. But otherwise, love this product, just saying. But if you have an imagination, that is a cylinder that is producing free energy, because that's our future. Okay, we test and verify other predictions of the theory. Voltage and current peak when the cylindrical shell's long axis is orthogonal to both the Earth's rotational velocity and magnetic field. So I was correct. So the voltage and current peak, they max out. The voltage and current max out. So, this is like, it's hot dog shaped. So when it's aligned correctly, the voltage will max out like an on and off switch. That's wild. And it has to be orthogonal, perpendicular to both the axis of rotation of the Earth and the magnetic field of the Earth. Oh, look at the big brain on these scientists over here. These guys basically figured out how to make a water mill out of the Earth. Why do we have windmills? It's a waste of damn time. A magnetic windmill can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be outside. It can just be underground. We don't have to kill all these birds. Chat, get close. Will someone just think of the birds? How many birds need to die? Chat, I'm from America. Our national bird is the bald eagle. The bald eagle. It is majestic as fuck. Have you ever seen a bald eagle? And we've got these windmills everywhere, pretending like we're saving the environment. And they're out there just murdering bald eagles, murdering our sacred bird that represents freedom, not just in America, but the whole world. The symbol of freedom. And we're letting these tote bag carrying, organic broccoli buying phonies murder them with these windmills so that they can feel better about themselves. And we could be having magnetic windmills that can go anywhere and produce energy. And we've just been suppressing it and or ignoring it and or just saying that it's fake. Honestly, save the bald eagles, chat. Save them. They need you. Stop windmills. Stop solar panels. Green energy is a scam. Real green energy is going to be stuff like this. Okay. Sorry, chat. I just get upset when physics is suppressed from humanity. Just that's the one thing that triggers me. That's my Achilles heel, everybody. Okay. So what they're saying is it has to be aligned correctly. But if it's not, then it doesn't do anything. And They used a control cylinder, some other cylinder, and it doesn't do anything at all. So they show it can't just be a random cylinder. You can't just, oh, I'm going to use a random tube. They also reproduce the effect at a second location as well. Okay, so guys, we've got an experiment here. Full screen again here. We've got an experiment from a Princeton physicist that they've had 10 years of theory before they even did their experiment. And then they did the experiment and they ruled out, they already ruled out all the things normal people are going to try to say that's wrong. Already did that. They controlled for all of those. They also went ahead and showed that even if you think that there is something weird going on, that they can show that the orientation of the cylinder changes the result. Changes the result. How do you explain that? If it was something wrong with the apparatus, you wouldn't expect the orientation of the object to change the result. You should be getting the same result every time. And for added measure, just in case that wasn't enough, they redid the experiment in a different location, just in case people said that oh, the lab that you were doing that experiment in was cursed. That was a cursed lab. It was haunted. It was the energy of the ghost that only works at 90-degree angles. It's the ghost of 90-degree angles, chat. He was at that location. Sorry. Stop. We already got that one covered too. We tested it at another location as well. Can't get me with the ghost of 90-degree angles excuse. Can't get me. Okay. Let's dig into a few quotes from this. Now, the math gets to be pretty rough. I'm not going to lie on this. But it all starts from Maxwell's equations and takes it a step further from there. And basically kind of showing that there's this asymmetry that we can actually take advantage of. And even though, as I mentioned before, that it might happen at an extremely fast rate, that there are ways where if we use like the right material, we could create situations where it can be exploited. And it's important that they pointed out, for them at least, me, I don't care, but they were extra careful to say that this energy is not coming from nowhere. This energy is actually, at least according to the scientists, where is this energy coming from? It's coming from the rotational energy of the Earth. When I say that, I'm saying that literally. So if you're wondering in your head right now, Ashton, are you saying that this device will slow down the planet Earth? Yes. Yes, I am saying that. Or they're saying that, I guess. And actually, I'm just agreeing with them. Yes. So this free energy device will slow down the planet Earth. Congratulations. You guys are destroying the planet. Help. There you go. We are going to technically destroy the planet, but in a different way over a much, much longer period of time, which is, in my opinion, an improvement. That's an improvement. We were going to destroy this Earth in 100 years. This will give us, a billion years, maybe a million. Not bad. Pretty good improvement, if you ask me, chat. I'm just joking. We're going to talk. We're going to dig into that. This is actually this actual answer isn't addressed. If the planet stops, we're cooked. So, but there's a lot of definitions of stop. Does it stop spinning? Does it slow down? We're already spinning relatively slowly. So one of the things, actually, that's a good point, is that the Earth is spinning relatively slowly. And that's part of the reason why this doesn't generate a huge amount of energy. If the Earth was spinning faster, there would be more energy generated. I believe that's an argument they make in here as well. So the amount of energy generated is generally pretty low, but they talk about some ways where it can be improved as well. So let's start with the experimental results, because we've already kind of seen how it works. Okay. and they showed their predictions. Actually, I want to read again the materials and methods here before we show the results. Okay. So this is directly from the scientific paper. This is the sauce. To test the prediction that electricity can be produced by a system that is satisfied by the equations above, we use a cylindrical shell made of magnesium zinc ferrite, a soft magnetic material with conductivity about that of seawater. So that's pretty conductive. Seawater is conductive. This cylindrical shell and an otherwise identical solid cylinder used as a control were produced to order by National Magnetics Group. So these people have their own supply chains. Like, what the hell is National Magnetics Group? They got a custom made cylinder, special alloy made to order. So it's not exactly like you're not just doing this in your garage. Now, maybe if you can hook up National Magnetics Group and get them to make you one of these, maybe somebody should hit them up, by the way. I'll buy one. How much do these things cost? Our shell of M100 magnesium zinc ferrite has a length of about 30 centimeters, inner and outer radii satisfying this ratio of A to B equals 0.61. So this is going to be the ratio of the radii of the cylinder, with B being 1 centimeter. So it's 1 centimeter, probably radius or diameter. I don't know which is which. We determined the temperature dependent relative permeability from its data sheet. Okay. So basically, they've got a cylinder, and then they are stacking it on top of this thing. I think they have pictures somewhere in here. Where's their pictures at? Oh, wait, the other one has the pictures. Where are my pictures at? There it is. Okay, here we go. There you go, chat. This is what it looks like. Okay. So the cylinder's in the middle. They've hooked it up here so that they can measure the voltage. They've got it on this piece of glass or whatever this is here, maybe plastic, I don't know. And they've got it aligned with the magnetic field of the Earth. Yeah, here's your picture for you guys. I know everybody needed pictures, so there you go. Let me make it bigger. There you go. There's your picture. It's literally just a tube, chat. Literally just a tube. It just has to be aligned correctly. And you can tell it's got the right angle, right? It's at the right angle to interact with the magnetic field based on where you are on planet Earth. So it actually matters where you are on planet Earth. You would actually have to do a little bit of like, where am I? Where's the magnetic field? Blah, blah, blah. But if you had some idea, you can probably play around with it and figure it out, right? If you already know what you're looking for. So orthogonal to the magnetic field of the Earth. There you go. Okay. Okay, so the results here. Let's go look at the results. Now, you ready for this? I'm going to make it super simple for you. This first chart right here, figure 2, that was their predicted result based off of their old scientific paper from 2016. And you can see they're controlling for temperature here. So it doesn't matter what the temperature is. You can see that regardless of the temperature, they're expecting to see these 3 lines right here that you see right there. Those 3 lines you're expecting to see. Now, the one on the right, that's the results from this experiment. Wow. So there's 3 lines there. But what's the context? What's the control? How do I know that that's special? Well, the authors said that the control experiment, the tube that is not the right material or whatever, all these lines are going to converge. They're going to converge onto one line. So let's see what the control experiment said. Figure 4. Experimental results for the A equals 0 solid M100 cylinder. As predicted in the text, this solid cylinder, otherwise identical to the shell used, for all orientations, no voltage. There you go. So, control group not only does not show 3 lines, but this is what they had predicted would happen as well. Wow. No wonder they got accepted into physical review, guys. Physical review is, I don't know, is it the top publication? If it's not the top publication, it's way up there. This is actually crazy. This is crazy. Guys, I got to go on another rant right now. These people are going to get killed. These people are going to get killed, or worse, if too much attention gets drawn to this, people are going to attack them. They're going to destroy their credibility. They're going to say that, I don't know, that what's going to happen. Someone's going to recreate this and they're going to do it wrong and they're going to say it doesn't work. Actually, that's what's going to happen. This is going to be like LK99 all over again if it gets the right attention. Either they're going to just ignore this, the physics world is going to ignore this, or people are going to start. You can reproduce this shit easily. Just call up that lab and get another one of these things made and start testing it. If this shit produces free energy, who cares what it's made out of? Who cares how it works? This thing's literally just producing free energy, and all you need is a cylinder of the right thing. And you just need to put it somewhere on the earth. This is like the simplest thing ever. Ever. Guys, I almost never say this, but like and share the stream because we're exposing real science out here that if people actually just pay attention to this and reproduce this, we can just harness energy directly from the rotation of the earth. And don't worry, before we make the earth stop, we'll figure out a better way to harvest energy. It's just way better than everything we have right now. And spoiler alert, it's going to lead us to harvesting directly from 0 point energy directly. This is like us riding with training wheels, okay? Guys, you have to realize we're not going to go directly to harvesting. I mean, I thought we might, but I doubt we're going to go directly to harvesting the 0 point energy in the vacuum. We got to get the normies on board first. And this is the perfect way to get the normies on board. They can't believe that there's enough energy that we can tap into in the vacuum of space. But they will believe that we can make the Earth stop and suck away the Earth's rotational energy, which, by the way, is never going to happen. But let them believe whatever they need to believe. Okay, as long as they can believe in something where we can produce a device that is a free energy device. I don't give a shit. So, yes, it's sucking the rotational energy away from the Earth. Sure, whatever you want to say. I don't care. Sounds great. Let's just say that's what's happening. Where's my notes? Yeah, and so here's another thing about the paper. Did I have notes on this? Yeah, I think it says somewhere in here. One of these figures. This one, maybe? I don't remember where it is. Somewhere in here, though, it says that. So not only is the rotation significant. So let's say maximum voltage and current, 0 voltage and current. Maximum voltage and current, 0 voltage and current. Now, what if I go from maximum voltage and current? What if I flip it 180 degrees? Then what? Then you get the opposite. You get the opposite voltage and current. Just goes the opposite way. Reversal of the voltage. Negative voltage. Quite literally. That's quite literally what happens in the experiment. So the experiment to me is really compelling. If you got something where you can just set up a tube and then just change the orientation, and it goes from nothing to on, and then you can flip it all the way around and it reverses negative voltage. To me, that's extremely compelling evidence that you've figured something out related to the orthogonal, the perpendicular lines of the Earth's magnetic field. Seems pretty genius. Let's hit a dono real quick. Candy Pixel, thank you very much for the donation. Let's make them famous before they get to LK99. Yeah, actually, this is the goal, is that this is the perfect opportunity. Thank you for that donation, by the way, to spotlight other inventors and physicists who are on to something that will unravel at the ether, 0-point energy, everything, free energy. It'll unravel all that stuff, because people are going to stop seeing free energy as this impossible extracting energy from nowhere type thing, and they'll start to see it as we're kind of bending the rules. We're bending the rules. So I hope that people can make this popular. This paper is only a couple weeks old. Get attention on this. Get people talking about this. Get people reproducing this. I mean, alien scientists should be all over this. This is his whole thing. He needs something cheap that it can be reproduced easily. This is it. As far as I can tell, there's no geologic. I mean, you should be able to do this basically anywhere. I don't think you have to be near the equator or in the North Pole or anything like that. So, I don't know. This seems cheap, easy to do. Now, let's look at some of the conclusions. Oh, wait, one more thing. David R. Dumb question, but is there a way to speed up Earth's rotation to balance out the effect? Yeah, of course there is. Do the opposite of what this is doing, right? Isn't that the answer? You know what the beauty of physics is, David and everybody else? Symmetry. There's symmetry in just about everything in physics. Symmetry. Symmetry in physics. When we tried to claim there's no negative gravity, that's because we didn't really understand what gravity was. When you realize gravity is just a pressure force, of course there can be a negative gravity. Of course there can be. And so if we can slow down the Earth by extracting rotational energy from it, if we just do the exact opposite, we can speed up the Earth too. So one of my views of humanity is that people kind of underestimate humans, but any problem that exists, humans can solve. Any problem that exists in the physical universe, humans can solve. That's a crazy thing to say if you really think about the implications, but I think it's true. We can figure it out. And we will. And we will. And we're going to do so much faster than I predicted. I thought we would have to do some really elaborate thing to clean up global warming and what have you, but we're going to literally physically engineer the planet at the vacuum scale. Okay. Solving natural death is also going to be trivial, by the way, as well. Probably in our lifetimes, but no guarantee. I think they want us all to die. So hopefully that's not too dark for YouTube. Okay. So they addressed some of the people that claim that they were not doing stuff correctly, and they explained why those people were wrong. And let's see. Okay, this is the one I love here. Is this it? Yeah. Oh, okay, here we go. Down at the bottom. We previously showed that even in an extreme scenario where our civilization would somehow obtain all of its electrical energy from the effect here described, and down here at the bottom, Earth's rotation would be slowed by 1 ms. I don't know if that's meters per second. I don't know what that is, but less than 1 ms per decade. By comparison, the length of the Earth's day fluctuates by several... Oh, minute? Is that minutes? Minutes per decade? Fluctuates by several per decade. So basically they're saying... This is funny that they actually addresses... Oh, it's milliseconds? Okay, it's milliseconds. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Milliseconds. So they're saying that even if we got all of our energy off of this, it's not going to have any real appreciable effects on the spin of the Earth. And the funny part about that is not that we couldn't slow down the Earth. It's that we're using so little energy on this planet that we wouldn't slow down the Earth. We are basically little ants making little ant hills, and we don't even realize it. The amount of energy that we use is negligible. If you have parents like mine, they told you to turn the lights off every time you leave. So what? The amount of energy this is requiring is just literally just nothing. Nothing at all. In the grand scheme of things, it's less than nothing. It's crazy to think about. People care about the lights being on. Lights in general take the least amount of energy. Anyway, sorry, I digress. There's one more part I wanted to discuss here on this. Possible scaling to higher voltages. Okay, so I'm convinced that it's real. I'm so convinced this is real that I want to steal it. Like I want to steal the Casimir cavity pad. It's only one other time I've ever been this confident in something that I read scientific papers on. Why? Because it's not just theory. They backed up their theory with experimental proof, evidence. And they're challenging people. It should be easy to recreate this. There is no excuse for anybody to poo-poo on this without doing it themselves. None at all. In fact, I don't know why, but I just... crying cat emoji, just I love it right now for some reason. So there we go. Okay. Now, in terms of scaling it up, though, right? They say results for our simple laboratory demonstration systems appear strongly to confirm the effects predicted by equation 25, as do proposed relevant control experiments. The results have been confirmed at a second location with the same geomagnetic environment. The next step would be for independent group to reproduce the results. Even if only voltages far below those for residential power were achieved using our effect, such devices might still have practical applications as batteries, quote unquote. They would require no fuel and could not wear out in the usual sense. So what they're saying here is even if there's no way to scale this up, there's still practical applications because it's a free battery. So something that would take like very, very little amounts of power might be able to make it practical, even if there's nothing else we can do, which, spoiler alert, there is other stuff we can do. Now it says, in principle, the diameter of the system depicted in figure 1 could be miniaturized without decreasing the generated electromagnetic flux. Okay. So right off the bat, figure 1 is probably the design, right? Yeah, the design of it. So right away, they're like, okay, you can miniaturize this. Oh boy, does anyone know what I'm thinking out there? Who knows what I'm thinking? Where were we at? This is why I don't go down to, I'll scroll up. Okay. And so then they show some equations here, and they basically say that if you change the ratios of the thickness of the cylinder, then you can manipulate the size of it as well, and you can still make this thing work. And then they say as well is that if you were to change some of the other factors, you could have many devices be physically placed in parallel, but connected in series that could amplify the voltages generated. They say you could also increase the L, I don't know what L is, or by allowing A to get closer to B in the shell design. So when I read this part, this whole paragraph, the only thing I can think of, let's see if anybody else said it in the chat. I'm just thinking of the Casimir effect. I'm thinking of the Casimir effect. And what we've realized is that as things get smaller, as they get closer together, we see this effect increase, this negative pressure, negative energy effect. So in this case, when they're saying take these cylinders and make them smaller, the first thing I'm thinking is, well, they go, oh, you need 1 million of these. I think Anton says this. You need 1 million of these to make this effective. Okay. How many little cylinders do you think there are on a microchip? 1 billion? 1 million's no problem. And what I just read right there, I'm going to read it again. In principle, the diameter depicted in figure 1, which is the device, could be miniaturized without decreasing the generated EMF. Am I tripping right there? Or are they saying that you can make this smaller and get the same exact output? Yeah, you make little nanotubes. Make little nanotubes using this material, put it on a wafer. Now you've got a microchip. And they say you can align this in parallel and you can make an array. You can make an array and you can amplify the effect. So 100%, you turn this into a microchip. And you've got a free energy microchip right here. Now, you might have to align it with the Earth's magnetic field. But what if you put a gyroscope under it so that it's always aligned the way you want it aligned? Connect it to a gyroscope and confirm that and ensure that it's always going to be aligned correctly. And boom, free energy microchip. Damn, I love this patent, chat. Yeah, you know what? Yahtzee. Hell yeah, Yahtzee. This one deserves it. And no one's going to watch this stream because it's science. Nobody likes science except for me. I want everybody to know, just for the record, I love science. And the reason why I dig into the science streams like this, even though it's not nearly as exciting as conspiracy and finding out why they teleported a plane, is that science. I just love science. Science is awesome. Okay. Last thing. Let's go back to this. Oh, you don't see this. So look at this. Look at Anton's video here. This is Anton's video, chat. Wow, I would recognize that picture anywhere. I'd recognize that picture. That's EM Drive. That's the first EM Drive back in 2013. 2013, when the EM Drive was making all the rage and physicists were losing their shit. So it turns out 8 minutes into this video, this is the same video from Anton. He realized something. He realized something really big. He realized that the same science that would allow for something like this to be possible, where we could harness energy, force, directly from, like, the fields all around us, that's really similar to what the EM Drive was claiming. The EM Drive was claiming, the impossible drive was claiming that they could create a resonant cavity and produce thrust, which to me, of course it works. Put me on the record. Of course the EM Drive works. I'll show you simply why it's so obvious that it works. The Casimir effect is what again? Two parallel plates. Imagine these plates are very close together, right? I'm just going to, for sake of argument, visual purpose, I'm going to put them further apart. What happens if I do this? Well, that's interesting. These parts of the plate up at the top didn't get any further apart. So they're going to still come together. But this part down here at the bottom, it's not going to come together as strongly. So I'm going to have an asymmetrical force. If I have an asymmetrical force like this, I'm going to get thrust in one of these directions. Of course the EM Drive works. The Casimir effect already shows it works in principle. The only question is, did you figure out some kind of design where you can get like significant amount of thrust from it? That's the only difference. Because in the case of the Casimir effect, we're talking really close together, not like giant like in this screen here that we're going to watch. So let's end our stream tonight by watching the last bit of this and then going into our outro after that. So, Anton, tell us, brother.
Experiments from back in 2013, 2014 involving so-called resonant cavity thrusters, the famous impossible drive or EM Drive. Once again, there's a video in the description talking more about this, but back then, strangely enough, researchers were also detecting a somewhat minuscule but still present thrust, which was potentially generated through electromagnetic means.
Okay, and now I need a pause right there, because when he says researchers generated or tested a small thrust, he's talking about Harold Sonny White from NASA. Harold Sonny White from NASA is the one that did the testing and generated and tested the device independently. You can find his paper. In fact, Salvatore Pais references that paper in one of his patents, one of his scientific papers. He references the one by Harold Sonny White, experimental evidence of anomalous thrust from EM drive or whatever they called it. Wild.
And it'd be actually really interesting to find out if by some chance these two phenomena are actually connected. In other words, maybe what NASA was detecting here was nothing more but the effects from the magnetic field that were previously completely ignored. But I guess for now we don't really know, and only future studies will be able to discover what's going on. And until then, thank you for watching.
So, do I think the EM drive is from the magnetic field asymmetry with the spin of the Earth? No, not really. But I think that if we pull on this thread, you're going to come to the same conclusion, and we'll all reach the same conclusion, which is that really the 0-point energy field all around us is what is stabilizing atoms. It's what's stabilizing a hydrogen atom. There is a reason why Hal Puthoff's first scientific paper on 0-point energy is the ground state of the hydrogen atom. What a weird paper. Unless you're a physicist, unless you understand the concept of 0-point energy, then you realize, wow, it's not a coincidence that that's the first paper. Why? Because remember our hydrogen atom that's definitely not an AirPod Pro. Definitely not an AirPod Pro unless you have no imagination whatsoever. Our atom here. Why is it that the electron, when it's spinning around, why is it that it doesn't collapse into the neutron? How is it able to be stable? Why is it stable? You're telling me that this hydrogen atom is an empty space that's 99% empty all around it. What is this electron that's spinning around this? How does it have the energy to do that forever? Shouldn't it eventually just like become unstable and either fly off or collapse? And yes, Genji, the answer is the ether. The answer is the 0-point energy field. The reason why the electron doesn't spin off, or the reason why the electron doesn't collapse back down, is because it's being held in position. It's being held in equilibrium. The 0-point energy everywhere is holding that electron in equilibrium, and if we pull energy out, it bounces right back. The equilibrium point is the point where the electron wants to be in that point. Now, when you think about it like that, you go, wow, of course negative energy is possible. Of course negative energy is possible. Because we now just realize we can pull energy out of the vacuum and it'll bounce back. Well, we just yanked energy out of nowhere. Of course free energy is possible. Conceptually, we just yanked energy out of nowhere, but we didn't really yank it out of nowhere. Just like with the planet Earth, where that device is using the rotational energy of the planet. A 0-point energy device is using the energy all around us. Could there be negative effects? Yeah, absolutely. Physical effects as well. So that is our knowledge dump for tonight, guys. Check out the scientific papers. I think the normie paper articles are called Attempts to Harness Energy from Earth's Rotation. The old scientific paper, Electric Power Generation from the Earth's Rotation through its own magnetic field, 2016. And then the newest scientific paper, Experimental Demonstration of Electrical Power Generation from Earth's Rotation through its own magnetic field. I love it, guys. Hope you guys have a great night. Friday, we'll be coming back. Probably talking about more science, but you never know. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going down, guys. Iran, just heads up to Iran if you're out there. If you attack Diego Garcia, you will regret it. Just don't get on any helicopters, I guess I'd say. Anyway, guys, love you, MH270X. Have a great night, guys. Peace out. Later.
fields where the skies are wide. Talking about a journey through the cosmic ride. Einstein and Thorne, they set the stage for a trip through time across the space age. Wormholes connect distant points in space. Traversable paths to a far-off place. No black holes pull, no crushing weight. Just a cosmic tunnel to a distant gate.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow.
Exotic matter, negative energy's the key to stabilize the wormhole for you and me. Quantum vacuum squeezed so tight, creating conditions for this wondrous flight. Static fields and lasers in the lab they play, generating forces in a new kind of way. Gravitational squeezing, Casimir's force, negative zones we need to stay the course.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow.
Thin shell formalism plates so fine. Spherical geometry we realign. Energy conditions that we must defy. For a stable wormhole, let's give it a try. Coulomb forces balancing the plate, creating the throat, open the gates, from Earth to the stars in a single bound. A shortcut through space profound. Engineers and dreamers hold the key to future worlds and what we could be. With science in hand, we forge ahead through the cosmic paths that we now tread.
We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow.
From the fields to the stars, we break the chains. Understanding the universe, we make the gain. Lil Hula Crump shines, bringing truth to light. Through his music, we'll explore the night with wormholes and